I mean, I would say, like, yes, those critiques are valid, and like when you live in the South or when you live in a state that's controlled by the right, there are very real impacts on the lives of the people in the communities that we care about. And if you're not, in the state of Florida, we do not have a Department of Labor. Like we do not have, because the right just did away with it. They just didn't think that it was necessary to have a place where, if you're not paid, that you can go to, that there's like, there would be any recourse. So for us, when the federal government was the only place that we, if the federal government did not have a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, we probably would not have a minimum wage at all in the state of Florida right now. So, when you have someone like Donald Trump and the right controlling the federal governing apparatus, plus the right controlling the state, and in many times the county and the city, for us, our political context is so different that, and we had this conversation with our friends in Mississippi and in other parts of the South. While yes, we want like bold progressive candidates and champions, and we will recruit those and we will ride for those, we also just need to break the right's like strongholds on some really basic policies that Democrats have advanced, like while they haven't been able to really lean into a lot of the bold changes that we'd like to see, there are a set of policies that our people like need and deserve. We can't understate like the role of corporate Democrats and who controls the Democratic Party establishment currently. And the people's response to like the historic threat of Trumpism has been powerful and may bring victories in the coming elections, but we have to be honest about the fact that we're far less prepared to defeat the far right and undo the extensive damage that it's done at all levels of our country. And without strong, power-building, state-based, national and state united fronts committed to social justice, then we'll just, continue to have corporate like neoliberalism, even if Democrats can gain control. And essentially, like that is our task. Like that's on us. Is how do we elect? Like yes, take back the White House, but don't take or that's not even the right term. I don't want to use that. How do we win the White House and not have a neoliberal corporate Democrat in office? Like what does it actually take for us to defeat Trumpism and make like really bold progressive gains, as Dwight outlined, in terms of like that change can happen incredibly quickly if we look at the history of the Tea Party, but it requires like a significant amount of work and rigor for us to get there.
And I would say without organizations like ours, or organizations at the grassroots level organizing and trying to make the case for that, I honestly believe that the Democratic political establishment would convince themselves that if they just wore blue versions of the Make America Great Again hats and perverted the same message, that everything would be all right with the world, right? And that's dangerous. The idea that someone, for the purpose of quote unquote winning, would make that move, but there's someone who's probably getting a consulting fee who's really thinking that if you just flip that and try to court those Trump voters and get them just to return back with the promise that you won't, reform the prison system, or that you won't acknowledge that DACA recipients deserve to be in this country, that everything will be in proper order. And that's why organizations like ours and other grassroots organizations are so critically important to changing that dynamic.